Hello, everyone. This is Get Market. My name is Maxim Babayev. I'm a CEO of this platform, and this is the Energy Chat series of our videos. And today we're talking about Ukrainian, German global energy markets and all things that are going on at the moment in global energy with Hans-Josef Fell, who is a guru for many energy professionals and activists. He's a member of a German parliament from 1998 to 2013. He is the founder and president of Energy Watch Group and an internationally renowned energy and climate expert, author, and speaker. Hans, hello, and great to meet you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Hans, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is the German Renewable Energy Resources Act that you helped to create and to implement in Germany. And Germany has become actually become a leader in renewable energy development and the example for many other countries, including Ukraine. How would you describe the results of this act for Germany?
Yes, these results are not only for Germany important, for the whole world. You must remember in the year 2000, when we adopted this law in the parliament, renewable energies, mostly solar and others, were very, very expensive. We had nearly no industry production, only a very, very few market, mostly a little bit in wind power, in solar nearly nothing, and in biogas, hydropower was traditional, geothermal was zero. So it is important to know this. 20 years later, we see now renewable energy, wind and solar mostly, as the most cheapest option of energy production in the world. And this is the most important result. Now, renewable energies run in the most parts of the world very fast, in USA, in Europe, in China, in Asia, in South America, in plenty other regions of the world. Not in Russia, not in Central Asia, not so plenty in Eastern Europe. But we see the investment into energy is mostly done at the moment by renewable energies. Fossil and nuclear plays a less and less role in the world. And this is the most important result of this Renewable Energy Act in Germany in 2000, to implement a new industry, to replace fossil and nuclear by clean energy that makes no polluting air pollution, no radioactivity pollution, no climate gas pollution. And therefore, it is important to save the world for heating up to an uncontrollable world with too high temperatures.
Yeah, for sure. This act, it has been one of the crucial points in the development of global renewable energy, and for Germany it was a big step, I'm sure. But I've looked at the statistics, and actually what not surprised me, but what was interesting for me is that you can see some decrease in the growth of capacities and the changes in the distribution of capacities of renewable energy, of new renewable energy installations in Germany. What do you think is the reason? Is it natural processes, or maybe there was something that triggered this change?
We have in the world the fight between the old traditional fossil and nuclear business models and the new ones with renewable energies. The old ones with fossil and nuclear are very, very rich, big, and they influence politics with lobbying, with corruption, and plenty other things. They tried since 20 years and longer to refuse the expansion of renewable energies to protect their fossil and nuclear business models. And this is a figure that works everywhere in the world, not only in Germany. We had massive growth rates and exponential growth rates in Germany until 2012, mostly in solar, but as well in wind power and hydropower, bioenergy, and others. Beginning with 2013, the yearly investment into renewables in solar, in biogas, in wind power declined. And this is an outcome of the political influence of the lobbyism of the fossil and nuclear industry in Germany. Fortunately, plenty other nations adopted the Renewable Energy Act of Germany, mostly China, and created a new investment basic for companies. They invested into big factories in solar and in wind power and in others, and adopted the leading role from Germany to China. And this was important for the world because China occupied now the industry, made the industry and the renewable energy technologies cheap, and those they could spread over the world and can highlight the climate protection investment everywhere in the world. But indeed, it is a great failure in Germany from the Chancellor Merkel to refuse and to reduce the investment of renewable energies. And we see it faster and faster. At the moment, the wind investment is nearly declined under 1 gigawatt per year. We were at 6 gigawatt per year. Photovoltaics, we were at 7 gigawatt per year in 2012. It declined to 1 gigawatt, and it recovered a little bit to 5 gigawatt we await this year. But this is not because of a positive and good political support. It is because now these technologies are cheap, and we see more and more market without the support of the Renewable Energy Act. But we must see the growth rates, what we need for renewable energies to fight against climate warming must be much higher than we have it today, not only in Germany, everywhere in the world. And therefore, a political support is still necessary for the world in every nation to get high growth rates for renewable energies. It is good that the market goes on by itself because of the cheap renewable energies, but it is not enough to use only the market development.
Mm-hmm. As far as I know, in Germany, there are processes going on basically creating a new EEG, a new law that would support renewable energy. Do you think this new law will be able to revitalize this sector? And in what way, if yes?
We have accelerating amendings of the law. In this year, 2021, we had 2 amendings in the parliament, one in January, a second in June this year. This shows that the society pressure to make more for climate protection is coming on at the governmental position and in the parliament. And they are backed and forced to make more support for renewable energy growth. But the often amending of the laws shows that it does not happen. It is still more hindering the expansion on a great figure. Yes, we have some details that are good. For example, there is an amending for more decentralized solar rooftop investment until 30 kilowatt investment. We have easier investment possibilities. But on the other side, rooftop photovoltaics over 100 kilowatt till 700 kilowatt is now more under pressure and the investment declines. So only on this both example, you can see we have a very confusing and different picture in the German law. Under the sum, it does not help to go to really big investment increasing what we need. And the main principle is we have a switch in the German energy law from the basics that was a successful basic. This is a stable by law controlled feed-in tariff. And now, since the beginning of 2013, the government switched more and more to an auctioning system. This means that the investor have not the basic of a fixed feed-in tariff. When they look for investment, they must go to an auctioning system and try to have a feed-in tariff and must make it cheap in a competition way. This leads to the system that only big financing structures, oligarchs, monopolists, and others can take part on this auctioning system. But the secret of the success in Germany lies behind the decentralized actors. Nearly 80% of the investment into renewables in Germany was done by private people, farmers, small and medium companies, small utilities, but not by the big utilities and not by big finance structures. And though you see the switch to auctioning exclude the successful actors in renewable investment and strengthen it only to the big utility and big finance structure. This brings more problematic situation because we had in Germany a big acceptance of renewable investment in wind power, in the village, solar field, on the farming fields and others. This big acceptance was combined because the people themselves did it from the village. They invested in the renewable energies and they had a payback over the feed-in tariff and had an income. We had a lot of prosperity growth and welfare growth with it. But now the investors come from abroad, outside from the village. They do not take part, the people on the return of investment. And though we have a lot of opposition against this investment. So the switch to auctioning declined the acceptance of renewable energy in the rural areas where we need to invest more. You can see these figures in our study, what we published with the renewable, with the Energy Watch Group. You can find it on the homepage. And we scanned up in 20 nations in the world, is everywhere the same figure what I described. Declining of the investment into renewables with auctioning system and excluding the decentralized actors. And today is a new study published in Germany from another university. They show the same figure like we found out.
It seems to me very weird from ideological and from common sense point of view, let's say, that we don't use the main advantage of solar energy, which is flexibility and scalability, and do not benefit the generation of energy close to consumption, which is the best way basically to organize everything if you think about the system. In Ukraine, in Ukraine, we've been talking about the auctions actively for, I think, 4 years now, because we've had this growth of the sector of installed capacities because of the green tariff also. And there was a talk long ago about the switch to auctions, and they are seen in Ukraine as the cure to many of the problems of our destabilized market in terms of finances and technical side. And I have also this suspicion that the auctions won't help. We need some other support mechanisms, whether to keep the green tariffs but reform the system in some way, or implement some other systems. Do you think the auctions in principle can be organized differently so that they can benefit the situation in Germany? And maybe that would be a good advice for Ukraine also.
Auctioning system is only positive for utility scaled investment over 50 megawatt, wind power, solar power, biogas, or others. That's okay, because we need this investment with utility scaled, with big finance structures. They can operate with auctioning. This is a good way. But under 50 megawatt, where the decentralized actors like cooperatives and private people, farmers work, they cannot deal with auctioning system. We exclude them. And therefore, we must bring a fixed feed-in tariff system under 50 megawatt investment. I discussed it often in Ukraine with the politicians. I was at the Verkhovna Rada in the hearing twice. I spoke often with the ministers and with the parliamentarians who has to decide it. And I showed them these things. But it was very hard because their mind were influenced by the oligarchs who operate nuclear power, coal power, natural gas and oil business. And they influenced by their interest, like they did it in Germany. And it was not only the influence by the oligarchs, we had also the influence by the European Commission. The European Commission influenced Ukraine and forced them to switch to auctioning system. But you should know the European Commission in Brussels is also influenced by the interest of the European coal operators, nuclear operators, and by the oil and gas business. The influence, the lobbyism of them is very, very big. And therefore, it is every time the same picture. It is not ideological. It is a clear go to the business of the polluters of the world, who pollute the world with dirty air, that makes cancer and a lot of diseases. They pollute the climate, but they have a big business. And the politicians in Ukraine, as well as in Germany, now do the business for the polluters. That's very crazy, but we have a different way. For example, we had the same situation also in USA under President Trump. And the switch to President Biden opened now a new situation. President Biden now goes the way to support renewable energies instead of the old ones, the fossil and nuclear. And therefore, in USA now we see a highly increasing of renewable investment because they make them free from the influence of the fossil, not yet enough from the nuclear interest, but from the fossil more and more. And we have some other nations also where it goes on. For example, Austria decided yesterday in the parliament to go by 2030 to 100% renewables. That's very impressive. And Austria made it now by a law. We have such laws already in California as well. California has its 2 years a law to go by 2035 to 100% renewables. And other states in the USA have it. So you see, we have on the world a fight between the interest and the investment of climate protection and on the other side against the lobbyism of the old business system. And my advice for Ukraine is clear. You must go to a law with clear feed-in tariff, fixed feed-in tariff, to go by 2030 to 100% renewables. It is possible for Ukraine. We showed it on different studies with the Energy Watch Group. We showed for Germany some weeks ago, we published this study, go to 100% renewables. It is by 2030. We could show it is even cheaper than to go on with the existing system with nuclear, and with nuclear we will phase out in Germany, but with fossil, with coal and natural gas. Natural gas is very expensive and very polluting. We can show it by scientific reports, and some nations like Costa Rica are already at 100% renewables and shows it is a very, very good business and good for welfare, not only, but also for environment and others. We have the examples. So Ukraine can do it, and Ukraine must do it. When Ukraine does not go to renewable energies, you are ongoing in the hands of the oligarchs with all the corruption system. You are ongoing in the hands of foreign nations who bring you oil, coal, nuclear, uranium, and others. You cannot become politically free from foreign countries when you buy the energy from them, because the energy business is very, very big. So independent Ukraine needs 100% renewables to make it politically free, and to make it also to an environmental Ukraine. We see one of the highest air pollution, with a lot of cancer, with a lot of diseases in corona pandemic, because the people who have an ill lung are a victim of the coronavirus. So you must reduce the air pollution, and this is only possible with renewable energies. So you will see so plenty benefits what you need. And one of the benefits is you will get a big business, decentralized when you invest, on plenty people, also in your rural areas. You fight against the poverty and everything. You must go independent from the oligarch system, go to feed-in tariff for renewable energies, go this way. This is the best way for Ukraine, what you can do.
Yeah, actually, I've written a column for one of the Ukrainian online resources recently, and I wrote that Ukraine will go to renewable energy, but there are two ways, two paths, right? So the easy way is kind of easy. It's not very easy, because we'll have to make some hard decisions at the start in order to kickstart the real shift to renewable energy. And the hard way, the hard path would be to follow the path that you described at a moment ago, and to see a system collapse, basically, in some way, in some time later. And then we'll come to renewable energy because we'll have to, and we'll have to catch up with the world instead of going together with the world in this area. So I think we'll come to renewable energy anyway. It's for us to decide how painful it will be for us, right?
Sorry. I must tell you, this would be too late when you wait. It is really painful. It is already painful for you in Ukraine. You have a very weak economy. This weak economy is because you spend a lot of money paying expensive coal and natural gas, oil and nuclear power. And you see the arguments what I heard 5 years ago, oh, renewable energies would strengthen the prices on electricity. We have not the money for it. Now you see your prices are rising in Ukraine because of increasing natural gas and coal and nuclear prices. So the complete opposite is reality. When you go to renewables, they are now the cheapest option in the world for investing into energy. You can lower your prices for energy in Ukraine, and you should go this way and not wait until it is painful. It is already very painful, but I don't see any development. And when you have the fear of two rising prices, you can get support from the European Union. European Union sends a lot of money to Ukraine to develop the economy. And when the government makes a plan with feed-in tariff and pay a lot of this European support money to finance this feed-in tariff for the electricity consumers. We made a proposal called Get Fit for the Ukraine government. And I'm convinced the European Commission will follow this way when the European government will make this proposal. But this Get Fit system is proposed. I spoke with the ministers, with the parliamentarians and others. They have it as a paper. They can only do it as a governmental proposal, but I hear nothing. They do nothing in Ukraine. They go on to support the oligarchs, to pollute the world and to pollute your health and the environment.
Yes, and actually, regarding doing nothing, it's been like that for like 2 years. We have energy storage and flexibility technologies bill already, several versions of the bill already developed and laying on the table for several years, and everybody's asking for it. The system operator is asking for the flexibility in the system because we don't have it, and the investors, because we as the Get Market platform, we kind of see the developers and the investors, we are in between. So we see that investors are willing to invest, especially international investors are willing to invest in Ukraine, but we don't have the rules of the game to figure out what financial models would be good or not good for them. And it's very unfortunate that it's going on for several years at the moment, and we don't see how and when it will be implemented in the future. And it's the instability and uncertainty is, I think, is much worse than worse conditions for doing business, because when you have the stable conditions, you know what to do basically, and when you have instability, you don't know what to do. And yeah.
Yes, I can underline this. You have a wonderful society in Ukraine. I know plenty people, youth people, or elder people as well, who want to go this way, clean environment, climate protection. They create business models, startups, and have ideas, very good educated from your universities and others. So you have the basic with mind and brain in Ukraine with the people who want to do it. But you have not the regulations to support them. That's what is failing in Ukraine. And the failing is you must stimulate your own economy because you have not so plenty money in Ukraine because of your weak economy. Yes, you must stimulate your private investment in Ukraine by the Ukrainians, but you must attract as well foreign investment from abroad. But the foreign investors vanished from Ukraine because of the regulations, because of the switch to auctioning instead to make a good fit-in tariff, a green tariff, what you had already. And you had a few years where it was on an expansion rate. But now it is on such a low level that it does not help. It is not nothing. Yes, you have very good investors in Ukraine who go this way. I thank every one of them who go this way, but it is so low. It is too few. You must come to 100% renewables by 2030. Nothing else will save the world. And you fail this way. When you go on this way, you have even not in 2100, 100% renewables.
Yeah. Now you said that you think that auctions are good for capacities about, let's say, 50 megawatts. And below that, do you think the fixed feed-in tariff is the best way, or maybe there are some mechanisms that you've looked into that can be also good for smaller projects, like for example the contracts for difference or feed-in premiums or I don't know, something else. Net metering, net billing is something that we are talking in Ukraine at the moment very actively.
Yeah, because of the situation that renewables, solar and wind, are now the cheapest option, but you should not forget in your law hydropower, geothermal, and bioenergy. They are important to balance the fluctuations of wind and solar power and add it with storage systems like batteries or hydropower power stations. So you must have the view on all the things. In parts, for example, rooftop photovoltaics can help some other systems like net metering and others. But in the principal whole picture, you need a comeback to a green tariff for all the investors and all technologies in renewable energies. Yes, you can make it on a modern system, like we have it already in Germany. I don't know the English word for it. It is called in German gleitende Marktprämie. I don't know if you can realize it in Ukraine, because it is a cooperation with the stock market of electricity. And the principle is clear. Even in Germany, with this system, the investor has the clear situation that he has a fixed price. It is partly paid by the electricity consumers and partly paid by the stock market investment and paying back for that. So it is complicated. Yes, we can find other structures, okay, but the principle must be, under the sum, the feed-in tariff must be high enough that the investor has a secure investment and a payback period of over 20 years. When this principle is not realized, you will see nearly no investment.
Well, I hope Ukrainian officials and everyone actually hears this, and I'm sure this is not the first time. I've been on the CI Solar conference that where you had your presentation also, and it was very inspiring actually. And I'm glad that I'm very happy that your presentations then and today, this conversation is actually sobering. So you know, you don't you see how the global markets and German markets, Ukrainian market, how they develop, and you know, it's really great to have people that are not afraid to tell the truth and not to hide it, and say directly who is basically who is hindering the development of shift to renewable energy and to sustainable development in Ukraine and globally. And on this, as I said, sobering but inspiring point, Hans, I would like to thank you for this talk, for this interview, and we hope that everything will be fine with the Ukrainian energy system, because I'm very worried about it, about its financial and technical health, because we are constantly doing not really wise things and making not very wise decisions lately, but I'm sure it will be fine. I'm an optimist.
Yeah, and I thank you also very much, because it is so important to make an newspaper, videos, information for the whole society, that they do not hear only the controlled arguments from the oligarchs and the fossil and nuclear business. They control the medias mostly and fake the medias with wrong arguments. For example, renewables would be too expensive. We cannot balance the fluctuations of solar and wind. Every time they come with the same fakes. No, we can balance it. All the technologies are ripe. It is cheap. And it is so important that people, journalists like you, influence the mind of the people with the truth and not with the fakes.